Okay, so let's take a look at how you can set up OpenSuse instance on Google Cloud's Compute Engine. So you will create that VM and install OpenSuse in it. So first thing, make sure that you have created your Google Cloud account. You also created one of the project. As you can see, mine is listed here. Then also make sure to have billing connected. This way you will be able to get 90 days of trial. Right now, one thing you can do from this point onwards is click on navigation menu, click compute engine, then click VM instances. Once you do that, it will open up another tab where you can see VM instance related information is visible. Now here I'll be creating a new instance on which we will be installing OpenSuse. Right, so let's click on create instance. Now let's wait for it to load. So let's see our instance name. Let's name this DevSuse. Right, once we name it, you will also find some ring on the right side. So this is for the things that you would choose. Right, so let's say we name this Dev, then we move to region. We picked a region which is cheaper for our deployment. Then we moved on to machine configuration. Here you will find our general purpose machine with second generation series of CPUs. Right, then comes machine type, where you can see option to choose between micro, small and medium machine with specific CPU and memory. Right, then let's move to confidential VM service, where you can enable disable your confidential computing API. Right, and it will allow you to encrypt certain parts of your VM, and that would add more secrecy to your VM. Right, now let's move to next part for container. So if you plan on doing container deployment, you can deploy through this. Next is choosing the boot disk. This is where we will be choosing our OpenSuse. So click change. Here you have operating system option. Click on the drop down menu, choose OpenSuse. Right, so here we have OpenSuse. You will be able to select the version as well between the two, x86 64 and ARM. So we'll choose 64-bit and then pick the 10 GB of disk. Now we have our setup. Next is moving to identity and API access, where you can see we will go with default service account and default access for identity and API. Next comes your firewall options. After that you have advanced options to choose from. In networking you will be able to pick certain services like your tags, hostname, IP forwarding and performance configuration and so on. Also you have network interface part. Then comes disk, which you can additionally attach to existing one. Then comes security, where you can pick the security settings including SSH. Right, so apart from that, let's move to management part, where you can enable, disable deletion protection and enforce certain policies, which includes your metadata, like for your SSH info as well. Right, so that metadata will go to your VM's metadata tab. You will be able to push from there by clicking on add item. Right, so another thing is choosing sole tenancy, which is not compatible for this particular instance. Now after everything you can click on sole tenancy. Right, so let's see, here we don't have compatibility, also we don't have options to set those. and few of the default configuration I have not covered because not relevant to our OpenSuse setup, so we will go with default. Finally, we can also take a look at equivalent code and then can hit create. Now this will take a minute or two. In some cases it may take 4 to 5 minutes to set everything up. Now the next thing is you can see the instance is running and I have my dev instance working. The next thing would be to show you what the configuration applied. As you can see, if you scroll, you can check all the configurations, networking part, including your current IP, right? So if you copy this, let's paste it. Let's see if it has anything running. Currently there must be nothing, considering we just installed the OS, but we don't have any server or so there is nothing to route to, right? Apart from that, I can also see the boot disk showing OpenSuse, right? Now the next thing is we can take a look at the options we have, especially on the search part. We can also take screenshot if enabled. Currently we don't have that enabled, so it needs to be enabled by clicking edit. And we can also take a look at current status of CPU and other resources, right? The moment we start working, it will have spikes for the data being sent, return, read, etc. Now if we go back to our VM dashboard, we can click on SSH and make it open in our browser. So let's connect through SSH in browser, in new browser window. So as you can see, it opens the browser here. It will take a second to load, but if you have the SSH keys already added in metadata and the keys that are included within our VM will kind of work through all the projects, and as you can see, it is giving me the access. Now let's see if I want to check some of the things, such as, let's see, host info. Let's try and use this. So it's not applicable for this particular package, the command isn't working. So ls CPU, hopefully that should work, and there you go, we have our CPU as shown here. Next thing, we can also take a look at our disk, so lsblk, and we have our disk listed as well. Now let's see if I choose to use sudo then dmi decode and then -t then system. If I enter, currently it will show you the information of my dmi decode status that says bias info, manufacturer Google Cloud Compute, and so on. So that also is visible, except host info. I guess we have to install that module, and once installed we would be able to view it. Currently notice that it didn't mention anything about our Linux version or so you may have to check that, but rest assured that this is your OpenSuse. You just have to get things working in here. For example, you can even install some of those web servers and then use the IP from your instance configurations, try and paste it in your tab and run it, and you will have instance showing the new server being deployed on this machine. So if you want to test it for some of the hardware and also for specific set of web server, you can try this. So if you are using OpenSuse in your everyday routine, you can even deploy it on Google Cloud, right? So let me exit this and let's see if that works. So if I click exit, it should close this particular browser, and there you go. Now if I want to delete this particular VM instance, I will simply click more actions and I can click delete. right? Now we already removed the instance in that window. Then we came here to totally kill the instance from our compute engine dashboard. So let's take a look at that part.